Starting stream now, dude. Starting stream now. Hopefully we're live. Hopefully I'm live. Yes, I believe we're live. Hello and welcome to the Level With Us Livecast. I'm your host, Mark DeSantos, also known as Mechanic Rick, and with me is not the one and only Brad Tatlin Jr. Instead, I have another special guest. He's from the shadows. He stalks his prey, and his prey is bad deadlines. The one, the only. Say your name, dude.
Josh, or Ithri, as most of you probably know me.
Yeah. We have Josh on the stream today, and some people might be wondering, hey Marco, doesn't the stream say that it will start in an hour instead of now? Well, here's the thing, daylight savings. Daylight savings is terrible. I scheduled this stream earlier on this week, and I scheduled it the usual time in my time zone. And, you know, a reasonable time zone that doesn't change its time every so often. But turns out that 4:30 MST, American time, is actually an hour before that I expected it. So I apologize for the, stream scheduling mishap. Daylight savings, man. Daylight savings. What do you think about daylight savings, Josh?
It seems a bit outdated to me. I only like it in the fall when I get that hour back. So right now it's not super great losing an hour.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really gain or lose the hour. You know what I mean?
I mean, right, in an ephemeral sense.
I mean, not even in an ephemeral sense, right? Like, quite literally, because you gain 1 hour and lose 1 hour, nothing happens, right? It's quite honestly perplexing to me why it still exists and why it still happens. But hey, it's fine, Josh. It's fine. I mean, honestly, it really blew my mind because there was supposed to be a meeting that I was supposed to attend, and then everybody was in the meeting super early, and I was like, why are you all in here so early? And then they're like, what do you mean we're on time?
Right.
And I'm like, oh. So yeah, I mean, why does daylight savings even exist, right? Like, do you know?
Off the top of my head, I don't. I know that Arizona doesn't do it.
Okay.
The state.
Arizona doesn't? So one of your states chooses not to do daylight savings, but all the other ones, like, that's even more confusing than just your entire country doing it, right? Right.
Definitely.
It's quite awkward. And also, I apologize. Josh's camera literally broke like an hour ago or something. So we had to salvage operation a little bit, and I had to find like some art of Josh and like put it on the background and everything, and change the overlay. Because like the overlay was supposed to be that in the corner over here, there should be like Josh's avatar, but we couldn't have Josh's avatar both ways. So I had to like salvage an old overlay and put Josh in his new spot. So yeah, apologies. Like, Josh really wanted to, be there and like have the video. Yeah, this is just a bunch of snafus today. So Josh, can you tell us why Brad's not here before we get into the proper of the?
So Brad is at Gamma in Vegas. It's basically a business convention for the board game industry. It's a lot of retail shops and printing companies and whatnot getting together with companies in the industry to talk shop, essentially, set up deals, all that boring stuff that I try not to deal with as much as I can. It's definitely more Brad's thing. Oh, speaking of Brad.
Is Brad there?
There, unless that's you, Marco.
No, that's me.
That we're live.
That's me. No.
Okay.
Gosh, I wish that was Brad. But
I realized I should probably introduce myself for those who don't know.
Right.
I'm the project lead for Level 99 Games currently. I'm the one that keeps everyone in line, assigns everyone tasks, gets games done, essentially, eventually, even. In the past, I've done like everything for the company, from customer service to design to playtesting. I've pretty been around the block, so to speak.
And, it's very interesting because when we were at the retreat like a few weeks back.
Mhm.
We were picking rooms, right, Josh? And Brad goes
Right.
like, we should just go in order of seniority. And Brad's like, obviously I go first. I'm like, okay, Brad. He obviously picks the biggest room, right? Because he has a wife and a kid, so he needs the biggest
Right.
room. But after that, he goes like, okay, then Josh, and then you pick a decently good room, right? Um, then he's like, then it's Marco. I'm like, me? I honestly thought Kier and Ferdinand or Davey or something or someone else would have had been there longer, but it turns out that you and I are the level 99 old boys. So
I guess so. We're the old guard.
yeah, we are the old guard, which is really weird because you can obviously tell the dichotomy between me and Josh because like I don't know if I mean to call you out or put you on blast, but Josh is a bit of a realist and I'm a bit of an idealist. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'm a pretty pessimistic kind of guy.
Well, I want to say pessimistic, right? You don't know. It. How do I explain this? You don't always want the worst thing to happen. You're just prepared for the worst thing to happen.
Right, right. In the industry of board games, like stuff happens constantly, So you kind of have to be ready for anything. Delays from any or from artists to the factory to shipping. Like you kind of just have to like make a date and then throw a month onto that. For anything you do.
That
Just to
sounds
be
like the
safe. Even
makings
then,
of
you're
a.
not safe.
That sounds like the makings of a great project manager. It's like I remember. It's like somebody go. I tell you, it's like, hey Josh, this will take a week. And then in the task you give me like 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, Josh, I see you.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
Yeah, good.
sorry, to be fair, it's not that you doubt my ability to deliver in the time frame that I said, right? It's just that you just want to be prepared for the worst, right? And I think that's a very good skill set, or at least a very good mindset for a project manager to have, right? Because you can't always just expect everything to get done in time. Things rarely do.
Right. The thing that a lot of people don't know is that each of us, uh, in addition to the task that I assign you for a project like BattleCon or Millennium, it also has like a job that they do that I'm not always super privy to. Right? Kier is customer service, but he also helps us with data entry for a lot of our stuff. You're a community manager, but you also do whatever I tell you to for projects. And that's something I always have to keep in mind, right? You have other things on that you might need to get pulled away for. Sometimes Brad will pull you away for things as well. So you just got to be prepared for stuff.
Right, right. It's kind of really funny because I think after you became project manager, I became the new old you. Does that make sense? Like, I end up doing a
Kier
lot
became
of.
part of the old me. Like you're like half of the old.
Right, right.
Me.
I'm like half of the old you, and then Kier's the other one. I'm the one who ends up like helping on the development side, making cards, uploading stuff on TTS, playtesting, and all
Right.
that jank. And then Kier is like customer service, shipping, and all that stuff. So it's kind of like you graduated, and then your old role got split into two, and then that's what Kier and I do now. Um, it's
No, it's
really
more like I got promoted and I look jealously back at things that I wish I knew were the good days at the time.
has it all just been
Customer
downhill?
service is a monotonous job, but now that I have all these responsibilities, I kind of miss just answering emails and packing boxes.
Right, right, right. I mean,
Uh,
it's true, right? Because like the weight of a project manager is that if you mess up your job, everybody else's job gets messed up as a result, right?
yeah, it's a chain of command thing, right? Yeah, it's definitely a House of Cards type of scenario.
And you are our
I'd say.
foundation, Josh. Josh, how do you
Right.
feel about?
It's stressful. It, it's a job. I do make board games but a lot of it is just sitting in front of the computer checking. Every day I come in and I check what is it now, like 5 projects that we're currently working on in tandem to make sure everything's keeping up. Talking with a lot of meetings. Meeting with you and everyone else to make sure that jobs are coming smoothly, and if they have any problems, it's work. It
Mhm.
certainly is. Sometimes I get to fun and playtest a game, but even playtesting gets to be work eventually.
Y-
It's one thing to play a game for fun. It's another thing to play and then have to write down a million notes
Yeah, I
about
mean,
it afterwards.
it's definitely true. Especially during the retreat, right? Like we ended up playtesting a
Right.
lot of like games that we can't talk about just yet, but um,
Hmm.
like when you play that with the mindset of wanting to make that game better, or at the very least needing to keep in mind comments you have about the game. And here's the thing, not just any comments, right? You don't just play a game, play it, feel like it's awful, and then go, I hate this, and then that's the end of your comment stream, right? Like that's not the point of playtesting. The point of playtesting is that you have to be able to give constructive feedback on how to make that experience that you had never happen again, right? And that turns into work at some point. You're right. So definitely I agree there. So Josh, tell us about Josh the person, not Josh the level 99 game staff. What are you into? What are you watching right now? What games are you playing? I don't know. What animes are you into? Like just tell me. What's up, Josh? What did you do? What'd you do for fun?
You act like I'm not just chained to my desk and have to work constantly, Marco.
Um
Um,
let's pretend that you're not for once. For
no,
once.
I do have a life, like to think. I actually prepared for this about an hour ago. I wrote down like a big list of things that you might ask me about, like, oh
Nice.
crap, what video games do I like? What music? Like, oh no. So,
Okay, so you're
you know,
prepared.
I'm actually a pretty busy guy. After work, I always have something on. I'm part of a little movie podcast that my friends do. I role play like 3 times a week.
Wow, dude.
Um, I try to play video games when I can. I listen to music constantly. Um, so yeah, I do a lot of things. Um, right now, as far as video games are concerned, I played Slade the Spire last night for the first time. Pretty great.
Yeah,
Um,
it was pretty great
a
my
lot of
first
fun.
time with Slay the Spire as well. I'm not sure if the live chat's not working or if people just aren't messaging, which is completely fine as well.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know. I'm not seeing any
I mean,
messages.
it's totally fine, right? We've prepared
But
enough
I'll talk about
material.
myself for the next 30 minutes. It's
Right,
fine.
right, like yeah. Here's the thing, everyone. If you're watching, because I see that there are 14 people watching right now. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, or if you just want to ask Josh something, like just say it, and we'll probably answer a lot of the time.
Sure.
Regardless, how'd you feel about Slay the Spire? I initially really loved it, and then it kind of like rolled off the deep end for me. How about you?
It's a roguelike. If it's your cup of tea, you'll like it. I'm a pretty big fan of them, but I played for about 2 hours last night, and it started to within, I'd commit to a 40-minute run, not finish it, and then the game would go, "Hey, you've unlocked 3 things that you don't start the game with that you might see in your next run that may or may not help you depending on what's going on in your current game." So it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's one of these, but it's quick and responsive, and there's a lot of fun stuff going on in it. There's a lot of interesting enemies and attack paths, and the
Yeah.
game system of the card deck. Basically you're playing a deck builder. That's a lot of fun. There's a lot of different styles you can play with. So I think I'll keep playing it for a bit
All right.
longer, probably at least this weekend.
Yeah, okay.
I'd say.
Before I interject with my thing, Robert
Mhm.
Collazo, hopefully I pronounced it correctly, says that they're listening and people are just listening. All right, if you are all just listening
Oh,
and
good.
want to hang out,
Good, good.
yeah, I was just worried that there was a technical issue again. Like, if you're streaming, it's just like, I just assume Murphy's Law, everything can and will go wrong at some point, so I'm completely okay with that. If you guys just want to listen and hang out, that's fine. You're not obligated to talk or chat. So one thing I really disliked about Slay the Spire is that how do I explain this? Because it's a turn-based card game, right? At certain points in time. Okay, wait. Okay, I'll answer that question
Mhm.
after I get to my point. At certain points in time, it just feels like the run was won or lost by the initial seed that you got. Does that make sense? It's
There's a lot of things that aren't in your control, right? The
right.
relics you get, the cards you're dealt. There are certainly decisions you make, and they're very important. But a lot of things, the enemies you encounter aren't really up to you, and so a lot of times the run will just screw you. They'll
Right.
just go like, "Oh,
So
you're fighting this boss. Guess you don't have the kit ready to deal with that. Sorry."
Yeah, and that's the thing. People will go like, well, you needed to make a kit that could handle any of the bosses. Like at some point in time, it's just like the game doesn't just give you that, right? Like, and that tends to be like my biggest problem with Slade Spire is that if you want to play it fun, right, which is again like the fun of a card game is amassing those small micro combos and combinations of cards in order to like do some crazy garbage, right? But if the game actively tells you, no, you need to create the most homogenized deck possible, have tools A, B, C, Q in every deck you have, then at that point, you've just ruined the point of playing a cool card game, right? Right? Like, and that's why it kind of sucks, because the game kind of disincentivizes you from doing that. So, for example, like, I play the Silent sometimes, and the Silent's like this rogue character. So the way they represent that, right, is that they have her draw a bunch of cards, play a bunch of cards, or have a bunch of low-cost cards that let her gain more mana, essentially, or, draw more cards, spend more mana, etc., 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 right?
Sure.
And then you get to a point where it's like your character can literally play like 20 cards in a single turn, and they have to play 20 cards in a single turn because like that's what the entire deck is built around. Then you get to the final boss, and the game goes, by the way, the final boss is a character that if you play more than 10 cards in one turn, they will instantly stop your turn and deal 20 damage to you. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I lost this run, right? Like, like the same thing goes with, and basically there's an end game boss for every build, wherein that boss is basically built to screw over one build. And that's just kind of like frustrating to me. It's not fun. It's not fun.
It certainly can not be fun, but it's a couple clicks, you're back in. So it's not the worst thing. It doesn't take that much of your time.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
so it is give and take.
It is give and take. It is give and take. So, Slawomir Tomzak. Hopefully, I pronounced your name right. Have you watched an anime called what's Roka no Yusha?
Oh, Brave of the Flowers or whatnot, right? I know of it. I haven't watched it yet. Speaking of stuff that I do at nights, tonight, actually, on Wednesday nights, I do anime club with a friend of mine. We call club, it's just me and a friend watching 6 episodes thing, so maybe we'll watch that tonight. He does speak highly of that show.
Oh,
so
okay.
He has seen it, but he hasn't told me much about it.
Oh, that's...
So, have you seen it?
No, I have not. This looks really interesting. The main character looks fun. Like, the guy with the goggles. He looks pretty cool. Slawomir, if you could, like, give me, like, a 1 to 2 sentence summary in the chat, and maybe, it convinces me to watch this thing, because I have a lot of anime on my plate. I still need to watch Censored. I can't say it because it's not like it's bad or like morally objectionable, but it's not a very family friendly show. It's like the equivalent of like,
I can imagine what you're talking about.
Right, like it just came out on Netflix. It's a CGI anime. It's about animals. It's like Zootopia ish. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I really love this manga / anime, and I can't really talk about it because it's a very it talks about a lot of like charged things, and it's very not for kids. So it's fine. Let's skip that. Robert says some of these boss fights are rather crazy. I admit they are. They are very, 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 very crazy. And I mean,
yeah. Go ahead.
No, you.
I had an encounter last night where I was surprised at all the different attack patterns in the game, and sometimes the game will just go, you don't know what they're going to do next, which is the worst thing in the world for a game that like tells you about else. So I was fighting this like wolf enemy. I think it was a boss or something, and I spent all my deck. I did could throw all my potions at him and I finally killed him.
He comes
and then
back
the game
to
just said the enemy is doing something, and I was like, oh, that's neat. Maybe it's going to go into like a dialogue tree, something that hasn't happened in this game before. And then it's like, nope, it resurrects at full health and has a complete attack pattern and wrecks you like instantly.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, thanks, game.
Yeah, and that's like and that's one thing I really, really dislike about roguelikes. A lot of the older roguelikes, like a Binding of Isaac, just don't tell you anything, dude. And like part of it, I guess, is that roguelike fantasy of like, in the real world there are no text tooltips, right? So they're kind of like doing that where it's like, you don't know exactly what this does. You have to figure it out and codify it in your brain, right? Your brain is the tool tip box, and you just have to figure that out on your own. But I think modern gaming has progressed so far that, in as much as like, not giving information to the player is no longer a good excuse to increase your difficulty. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like in a
Right.
fighting game, if a character throws a Hadoken, right? And the hurt box of that Hadoken is not the fireball they just threw, but instead some weird like thing that comes from the top of the screen, that's just bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, imagine a fighting game where they didn't give you a move list or a tutorial mode, and they just said, Street Fighter is a fighting game where you do inputs and your fighters attack each other, and then that's all they tell you, and then you just have to figure out what to do. And there's some weird number meter at the bottom that does something. You're not sure what, and you could have sworn you did it that one time, but you don't really know what you did to make the number go down.
Right? Like it's just not good game design, I think, in 2020.
I think it's kind of part of roguelikes, right? Well, it's almost like we're getting into this era of games that are going back to the 80s, right? If a person spent $30 on a game, we gotta make it last their entire lifetime. Like, this will do it.
That's fair. But I think there's a lot of ways to do that without just purposely obfuscating information from the
Right,
player,
without just
right?
not telling people stuff.
Right. I mean, like, I get it. Like you only make that mistake once, right? You fight against the weird bird wolf thing. It resurrects once, and you make a mistake.
Yeah, well, then you have to remember it, because you might not see that enemy in the next run.
I mean, there's only like 4 bosses, dude. You don't need to remember.
Right, that's fair. That's fair.
There's the time guy, the bird guy, the donuts. Wait, is there only actually 3 endgame bosses? I think there's actually only 3. See, like that's the thing. I think there's only 3 endgame bosses, or 4 endgame bosses if I'm missing one. Can somebody remind me? But like, yeah, it's not really that difficult to remember most of them. The small enemies are more of the big problem here because, there's a lot of them, right? So, yeah. Anyway, so Slawomir says the anime is amazing. There's a big mystery until the very end. Nothing is certain. Keeps on heels. So it's like a thriller, mystery, fantasy anime. Is that what it is? Is it like a detective show, or is it more like, we're in a fantasy land, we're fighting each other, but there's like this mystery that we have to solve, like, why is the main character's left arm a demon hand or something? Is that it? Like how is that going? Magnum Terrazis asks, are we going to see more Exceed gameplay videos on the channel? If y'all want more Exceed gameplay videos, sure, why not? I might do them sometime if I get the time. It's really important to understand, and Josh can back me up with this because he's the project manager, is that we're all kind of all hands on deck on a lot of things because we're trying to get like 3 games or 4 games that aren't done. right? Josh, back me up, please.
We're a little backed up on a couple of things, right? We're just trying to catch up with some of our past Kickstarters, like Collusion and BattleCon. So, in theory, in the future, once we catch up, we'll have a more steady stream of work, and it won't be as chaotic. So, yeah, I think you might have time to do some videos like that in the future.
Thanks, project manager Josh. You can just
We'll see.
Assign me the task.
We'll check back next month, because this month is the super serious, lots of stuff to get done.
Yeah, it's the one where like you kind of know when you watch like a cartoon or a show where it's like really funny and stuff, but then there's like that one episode where it gets really serious, kind of like that one episode of Futurama where like the dog, and it's like, oh whoa,
oh right,
this became really serious all of a sudden, right? Magnum just did the thinky emoji. Sure, thinky emoji. Are we thinking about more Exceed games? Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. Who knows? Josh, so what have you been playing outside of Slade the Spire? Have you played Hades?
I have not played Hades.
Dang,
no,
dude.
I've never even heard of it, actually.
Okay, so you know Supergiant games, right?
Right.
Yeah, they made a roguelike called Hades.
Oh, okay.
It's
How is it?
it's great. They
Or
just
what's
really
the twist, I guess?
the twist. The real twist here. There's two, right? The real twist is that it's a narrative roguelike. So like as you keep doing your runs, the characters in the main hub that you're in before you go, like you form relationships with them in a pseudo persona style like social link system. So
Okay.
during your runs, you like kill a bunch of monsters, then you get this thing called nectar, which because it's a Greek mythology themed thing. Obviously, it's Hades, right? You get like ambrosia or nectar, and you can give that nectar to the people at your house, and they start liking you more, and then it procs like dialogue conversations, and then your relationships with those characters progress. You can end up dating someone. Like that's the real twist, right? Is that it's a very narrative focused roguelike because as you keep doing these attempts over and over again in like and you keep dying and whatever, you talk to Thanatos, the god of death. You talk to your dad, who's Hades. You talk to like one of the Furies, one of the a Gorgon, Medusa. Obviously the worst named character in the game. So you have a house Gorgon who is like your cleaner. Like she cleans the place, like she maintains the house, right? And her name is Dusa. And like it took me forever to realize that she's a maid named Dusa, so she's maid Dusa. I freaking hate it.
Somewhat clever.
It's so bad. So that's twist number one. Twist number two, I guess, question mark, is the way, how do I explain it? It's essentially a roguelike with wherein the progression system is very, how do I explain this? You know how Slades Fire has Ascension? I don't know if you've even gotten to Ascension yet. Have you?
I haven't gotten to Ascension.
So Ascension
no.
is this thing in Slades Fire that after you beat the game goes like, oh, you beaten it? All right, we have a mode that basically adds a modifier to the run that makes it harder. And as you complete more and more of this mode, we'll unlock more and more modifiers to make the game progressively harder until you get to like modifier number 20, where it's like, instead of having to fight one endgame boss, you fight two of them, and like bosses deal more
really
damage.
Interesting.
Bosses deal more damage and stuff. All right. So a lot of roguelikes actually do that. They have the prestige system where the game gets progressively harder the more you finish it. Hades has a really interesting difficulty system that Supergiant actually had in a lot of their old games, kind of like the offerings in Bastion, right, where you could make the game harder to give yourself benefits, right? Hades has this thing called Heat, which is essentially when you finish your first run, there's like a pact that pops out, and then you can essentially customize the run to be difficult in certain ways in order to increase the heat. And each weapon, which is essentially a class in Hades, each weapon in Hades actually has a tracker for how high of a heat you've accomplished. And each time you finish, so for example, you do one heat, the game rewards you with something for that weapon you finished one heat with. Then you can play the same weapon, but now you can't just play one heat. It won't reward you for doing that. You have to go to 2 heat to get another reward. Does that make sense? So you progressively build up the difficulty on each of your weapons until you get to a certain critical mass. And it's really fun because you get to customize how difficult the game is. Slades Fire doesn't let you do that, right? Hades' difficulty progression system lets you customize the difficulty in a way that's good for you. So you kind of feel smart, right? Like you bring a weapon that's like, ranged, and then you just put on the debuff that says melee attacks deal less damage, and you feel really smart about it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously the designers knew that you would do that, but you still feel smart anyway, right?
Right.
Right. So,
does Hades have a modding community? Because I hear Slades Fire's modding community is pretty ridiculous.
It doesn't have a modding community yet because it's still in early access, right? Like,
okay.
The game's final boss is in there, but when you beat the final boss, the game just goes, then Zagreus, the name of your character, slips on a banana peel and dies. They haven't finished the story yet, right? So there's still some ways to go. The modding community for Slades Fire is insane, by the way. They made Toho characters in it, and the Toho
I heard
characters,
about that.
the
Yeah.
Toho characters all have their own unique gimmick mechanics. It's really interesting because people made custom characters, custom acts, custom like everything. It's pretty good. I really like their modding community. In fact, that's the only reason I play Slades Fire anymore, is just to play the weird modded characters. So yeah. Magnum says yes, please, more Exceed content to watch when I can't play. Yeah, very true. If you're looking for more Exceed content, actually, you should probably check YouTube for Matchup Madness. There's currently a tournament going on for Exceed where people are essentially playing Exceed competitively, and there's actually commentators. So if you want to watch that kind of content where, you know, decently good Exceed players play and good Exceed players analyze the moves happening in game, you search up for Matchup Madness and then you'll find some. So
You
Josh,
got to commentate on it, didn't you?
yeah, I got to commentate on some of the games as well with Daniel Tierenkin. So it's on the Tierenkin channel on YouTube. So if you want, there are some games that I commentated on there as well. Hopefully my commentary was half decent. What's Josh's favorite Japanese board game? Asks Max. That's very interesting. You have a lot of Japanese board games.
I do. I have quite the collection. We've been trying to work through it in the office on Tuesdays. We call it Tokyo Tuesdays, where we try to just play one of them every week to get through my collection. But there's some good ones in there. I'd probably say my favorite off the top head is a game called Sheep and Sheep. It's a cute little box about the size of a playing card, and it's basically a tableau builder.
Okay.
Where you get different colored sheep with different numbers from a market row, and you put them in your hand, and you play them into this like basically pen of sheep, but the configuration that you play them in is set by the rules. Like you can play like certain colors next to other certain colors and certain numbers next to other certain numbers.
Oh.
And it's really dynamic gameplay for such a small set of cards.
Interesting.
They actually made a sequel called Goat and Goat, which is a different game,
But with goats.
Same art style and a same kind of like simple numbers kind of game.
But with goats.
They're both very good. It's very impressive how much game they can fit into such a small product.
It's
also
yeah.
like Soccer Arms is
Soccer
amazing.
Arm? Yeah.
I don't know if you've played Soccer Arms, but it's good.
I have not.
It's a fighting card game.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard of it, it's but the catch is that the decks are 10 cards.
Yep.
And that's it. And there's like micro customization. So within 10 cards, you pick 2 different goddesses that have subsets of cards, and that's what you make your deck out.
Right. So you essentially
from those 2 subsets.
And you essentially combine weapons to form a unique fighting style, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. It's a really cool game. I've been wanting to do it because I love BattleCon. I love Exceed, right? But I really like the ability to somewhat pseudo customize your decks, right, and figure out some combinations and stuff. Like the Johnny in me just really loves that. So there you go. Some of Josh's favorite board games for Japanese board games.
Japanese board games.
Yeah, Japanese board games. Actually, I want to poke your brain a little bit before we ask the next question. What's your stance on simplicity versus complexity? So there's a big, ever since Kickstarter came out, there's been this giant push for like, you know, here's my board game. By the way, it's $700 because there's like 17 Cthulhu figs. Each of them are just Cthulhu, but in different poses. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you're praising Goat and Goat or Sheep and Sheep for essentially being a stack of 52 card playing cards essentially, and getting so much more gameplay out of that. So what's your stance on simplicity against the bigness of a game?
I mean, I feel like I prefer simplicity. It's certainly a breath of fresh air given the current Kickstarter board market. Be like, what's our game? It's a minis game. It's going to cost you $3, and half of you backing probably don't even care about the game itself. You're just buying it for the minis to play D&D with. Simple games are, they're easy while they respect your time, and they're just as elegant gameplay wise as anything like Gloomhaven or whatever. But
Is Gloomhaven
you know,
even
I,
elegant
there,
to begin with? Is this the question, right?
I'm not a fan of Gloomhaven. I'll say that right now.
Okay.
But there are certainly bigger games that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I like Steampunk Rally. I like Keyforge.
Wait,
I
Keyforge is
like.
a big game?
Sorry, not Keyforge. Oh God. Keyflower.
Okay.
Keyflower.
As a
I enjoy
Keyforge,
quite a bit.
that's literally just a
No,
deck of cards,
I'm not
dude.
a fan of Keyforge. Genius marketing though, like genius design for that
Right.
game.
Remember
Good job
when?
on them.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, I I like slash hate the concept. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
it's kind of cool when you open a deck and then like that's just the deck, right? So it kind of feels like sometimes you open a deck and it's like the secretly the most OP deck or something, right? And you feel really cool that you're the only one who has this deck and you're really cool about it. But then also, if all the decks you open just suck, what do you do?
Yeah, but then you go to a game store and you play against, find out that their deck is just way better than yours, right?
Right. It's
Then you can buy more decks.
Oh, that's the genius
It's
level of
only
it.
$10 a deck.
Oh,
Right?
they did it. They figured it out.
They did it.
To be fair, I really like their tournament structure because of what do you call
And I
this?
got that lock system, right? Something like that.
Yeah. So
Not super
basically,
familiar with it.
as a deck wins more and more tournaments, it earns points, and once it reaches a certain threshold, the deck gets retired from competitive play.
Oh, that's great. That's hilarious.
Like, it's basically impossible to essentially run the same deck over and over again because eventually you will amass enough points that the tournament setting just goes, nope, not anymore. Let's answer the next question, Josh, if you don't mind.
Sure.
How has the tournament been running? Any complications? So, for people who don't know, we are not running that tournament. It is a fan-run tournament by a person named Taxicat. They are the one running that tournament. They are the organizer. We are merely sponsors. So I can't really give you any back end or any deep thoughts about it. But I will say that the tournament's been going great. There's like 90 plus participants. That's a lot of people, And apparently, according to Taxi, last time I talked to him, they're on schedule for finishing pools, Josh, with 90
Really?
people.
That's pretty crazy.
I don't know how it happens, but it happens. So there you go. Josh, music.
Music. What, like favorite groups and whatnot?
Yeah, are you into K-pop, Josh?
I used to be. I still kind of keep up with it.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of Japanese doujin music groups, Millie, Whisper Records, Foreground Eclipse. I'm really into that, I guess, scene, you would say, of different circles. There's a lot of just dudes in garages essentially, or I guess on computers now, putting together some really neat stuff. I guess as far as genres are concerned, I like house and pop and future punk. Pretty much anything that's not country, I'm okay with.
How about country pop or country rap?
I can't say I've listened to that ever. It's probably a thing though.
I mean, it is. It is.
Oh, is it? Oh, you should send me some links then.
I mean, Old Town Road
I'll
exists,
give it a
right?
shot. Oh, right, of course, right.
Right, and Get Up by I forgot the artist's name, but Get Up it was also a TikTok meme, so it got really popular. But it's definitely like it's definitely straddling that line between a country song and a hip hop song. Like it's on that verge. Like it's more leaning towards country, but you can tell that there's some hip hop influences in there. So I'm really into that. I'm really into bad anime rap remixes. So
Oh, you mean like the One Piece 4Kids opening?
No, I'm not talking about like the digi rap or the pokey rap. That's not what I'm talking about, Josh. I'm talking about like people sampling, say like they take the melody from the opening for I don't know like Toradora. Oh, sorry, reverse. They take Kendrick Lamar's backing tracks, remove his rap vocals, and then put the lyrics from an anime song on top, and they essentially create a rap song out of that stuff. There's also the reverse, where they take the backing track from an anime song and put rap on top to create something else. I don't know. I'm really into that. I'm gonna send you some links, like in
Please
private.
do.
Yeah,
I'm always up for listening to new stuff. If any there in listener and wants to send me any music they like, I'm all for it.
right.
I will listen to whatever you send me.
Really? Okay. There's a lot of crazy stuff that people can send you, Josh. Are you sure you just want to give them carte blanche like that?
I will listen to whatever music you send me.
Are you again?
Let's.
Again? It could
Yeah.
just.
I mean, until further notice, I think I'm
I mean, I
pretty
don't
open
know.
about that.
There's like 433. You know that song? Or like.
433 is great. Like we could play it right now if you want.
All right.
Okay. Do we want to just do 433 right now?
I mean, I'm just gonna stay quiet for the next 4 minutes and 33 seconds. No, let's not. Let's not. Right. So we're coming up to the tail end of the show. So if anybody has any last minute Q and A's they want to ask Josh, please ask us in the live chat. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep talking to Josh. So Josh, we've talked about games that we've been playing, but what genre of game do you usually gravitate towards?
I used to play a lot of like JRPGs, a lot of JRPGs. I played like Legend of Dragoon every like regular basis.
Again and again. Okay.
But recently, I don't have as much time, unfortunately, with my busy schedule. Also, I play a lot of like simple, quick, like drop in, drop out kind of things. Enter the Gunge and Slades Fire, Dicey Dungeons, stuff like that. The Toho series, shmups, a lot of shmups.
Shmups, yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, have you played 30-second here, Half Minute Hero? I think it's the name.
Yes, I have played Half Minute Hero.
Half Minute Hero is a good game, dude.
it's a lot of fun. I like what they did with it.
Yeah,
it's pretty great. I probably have like 30 or 40 hours logged into that.
Have you seen the speedrun of this game? It's crazy. Like,
no, I probably should watch it.
Yeah, they also do like there's also a 5-second hero mode. They did a speedrun of 5-second hero. It was pretty crazy. Like, for people who don't know,
yeah.
Half Minute Hero. Gosh, sorry. Half Minute Hero's gimmick is that you are cursed or something. Like, the world is gonna end in 30 seconds, and you have to save the world by then. So you essentially have, in real time, 30 seconds to save the world. But you have a time goddess in your back pocket, and she can technically extend that, but like barely, right? So you essentially, it's basically every stage is an entire JRPG in 30 seconds. That's the gimmick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a pretty fun game. How about fighting games, Josh? We have a lot of fighting card games, so let's talk about your fighting games proclivities.
Right. My favorites has to be Melty Blood. Like, I really, really like Melty Blood.
You really
I have a laptop with it installed.
Yeah, we played some of that at the retreat,
tradition.
right?
Yeah, we did. But I like 2D fighters in general.
I'm
not a big fan of like Tekken or DOA, though I do play them on occasion. But
right.
I like things like Melty Blood, Under Night, Blaze Blue. What else? What was that one weird play that you mentioned on last week's stream?
Chaos Code.
Chaos Code? Yeah, Chaos Code was a blast.
Chaos Code is so stupid.
We played Queen of Hearts 99, which was used to play like in my Spanish class on the old computers in the back when I was done with work.
Wow.
Like, there was some really nostalgic stuff we did at the retreat.
It was pretty wacky. I mean, quite honestly, I'm just disappointed that we didn't get to play Dong Dong Never Die.
We didn't get to play Dong Dong, no.
No, it's quite unfortunate. That game has the best character design. Oh my gosh! All right, Josh, is there
yeah? Okay. Go ahead.
No. You go.
I was gonna mention Eternal Fighter Zero. Also, that's a really old, like, Dojin fighting game with like crossovers from a bunch of different, Japanese series. One of the characters there actually was the inspiration for 7 in BattleCon Online.
Oh, really?
The character Unknown. She's like a little, girl in like a sundress. She like floats around and does like weird creepy shit.
The family friendly stream. Oh my. Oh.
Oh no.
Family.
Bleep it out.
We can't. There's no post here.
Oh jeez. Real streams.
Real streams. So somebody is asking a really fun question. Do either of you have an all-time favorite fighting game character, whether it's by that character's design or that character's playstyle? How about you first, Josh?
Ooh, that's a rough
You're asking me
question.
to pick between my wives. My
Right.
waifus.
I would say, I guess since I mentioned Melty Bloods, might go with Kohaku from Melty Blood.
Is she the maid?
She's the maid girl.
Okay.
Yeah, but she does like all kinds of crazy stuff. She has like a broom that she can hit, but she can throw Molotov cocktails. She can like fly around. She has some pretty cool things. She throws out like houseplants that have like different kinds of hitboxes to them.
Right.
Her 300% ultra is like getting into a China dress and running across the screen. And if you miss that attack, she hits the wall, and there's a special like animation for her missing the attack specifically.
Oh wow.
Which is like unique to her. I don't think any other character has anything like
that. Wow.
So,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the detail that goes into some of those characters is really crazy. But basically she's a magic maid, right?
Basically, I mean, there's more to it. There's deep lore, but
don't get into the deep lore of Melty Blood with me, dude.
What about you, Marco? Who's your?
Oh gosh, you're giving me a hard choice. So obviously the character has to be a brawler, right? That's just the default. If you had to make me pick like an all-time favorite, it might have to be Kanji from Persona 4 Arena Ultimax or Persona 4 Arena. It doesn't really matter which one. They're basically the same game. So I have a really big attachment to the character itself and the playstyle that he represents. Because I play grapplers in real fighting games. I don't know. There's just something about grapplers. I really love the fact that, like, it's not about the combos with grapplers, right? They walk towards you, and then if you mess up once, you lose half your life bar, right? And that's really a playstyle I really like in fighting games, because I am really bad at doing long strings of combos. So I just like being able to press 2 buttons and then somebody loses a fourth of their life. But also Kanji, I have a deep personal attachment to the character. Outside of the fact that he's a rude, punchy boy, he's also, I don't know, like for the time where his game came out, his story and his message was very, very unique, and probably something a decent number of people needed to hear in that time. So yeah, Kanji.
It's unfortunate that my webcam isn't working because actually in the office we kind of set up spaces with a lot of personalization, and I have posters of all of my fighting game mains in my little corner,
including Sonic.
Not that I consider it Smash fighting game.
No.
But if one were to, I have that represented as well.
Right.
Good.
Yeah. I saw some like fighting game characters up there. So can you tell us who they are?
Right. I've got Nakaruru and Rimuru from Samurai Spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Karen from Street Fighter. Chie from Ultimax. Boletta or BB Hood from Darkstalkers.
Yeah.
Yuri from KOF. Sumireko from the Toho fight game. I think that's... Oh, yeah, and Noelle from Blaze Blue.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah.
That's a lot. Jonathan says that they love Makoto, and I can never pronounce this character's name. Shenko? The zombie, the zombie character from...
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jiangxi.
Darkstalkers.
Right.
Yeah.
She sounds like a fighter direct out of Pocket Fighter, Anthony Tran says. I assume they're talking about Kohaku.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
I could totally see that.
Really? Okay. I don't play a lot of Melty Blood. Again, for people who don't know, I'm relatively a young guy. So, I haven't played
some more Melty Blood.
I haven't played a lot of these old fighting games that you fogies are into.
Thanks.
Kidding. Chie is a favorite too, Jonathan says. Lele, I guess. I don't know who Lele is.
Right. It's Shenko. It's the naming thing. Or that's her sister talisman. I forget it.
Are they just echo fighters of each other? Like, are they Shotos? Like, how do they work?
No, her Senko's sister is like the little talisman that's on her head, but I forget if that's like in Lele or if like Senko's name is actually if it's one of those weird like Vega Bison things.
Or maybe it's just that one character can have multiple names, right?
Possibly.
All right.
I forget. It's not Boletta, I don't care. Get out of here.
It's Beretta. No. Yeah, BB Hood's fun. Like, you seem to have a proclivity for characters who suddenly just have army grade weaponry in their kit, despite not looking like they would have army grade weaponry in their kit.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a coincidence.
Like,
it's the Japanese name. Right. Thank you.
Oh, Lele is the Japanese game. Okay. Right. Okay, so I think we're a bit over time already. So if nobody else is gonna ask anything, Josh, is there anything you want to tell our fans before you go?
No, just keep watching the streams. We got hopefully set up some more guests on. You can meet more of the crew.
Hopefully they have webcams this time.
And if you like what we're doing, we have a lot of cool stuff coming up. One of the things we did at the retreat, I think, was mentioned that we tested a lot of future games that we're trying to get greenlit.
Right,
so
like our Shrek RPG.
Right, like the Shrek RPG, yes. And there's some really interesting things in the next year or two. So stay tuned.
I am going to stay tuned. In fact, something that was talked about in the retreat and actually is out now that you all can go into is if you go to our official Facebook page, Brad has actually been posting landing pages for some of our games. So we have stuff like Imperial, we have stuff like Exceed, and you can sign up for the mailing list. And here's the cool part. If you sign up for the mailing list on those landing pages you go to, you actually get access to a lot of bonus content for those games. So if it's like, for example, for Imperial, if you sign up for the mailing list for Imperial, over the next few weeks, you'll get emails from us giving you character backgrounds, company background, some art, and all of that stuff that you don't get to see anywhere else. So if you haven't signed up for the mailing list yet, now's like the best time, because you can get all sorts of bonus content for the game that you sign up the mailing list on. I'll link it in the description of this livecast, because if I move away from my screen right now, it might cause the stream to lag, and I don't want that to happen. So I'll do it after this stream. So thank you so much for watching the stream, everybody. Today's a bit more chill. Today's a bit less, deep topic-y, because Brad's not here. But at least we have Josh, and it was really great to see some new faces in the chat. Magnum, Max, Jonathan, Anthony. I think I've seen Anthony before. I think I've seen Max before. But Roberto, Slavomir, and Jonathan, really good to have you here. I'm really glad that you were all here to watch us. And
thanks for coming.
Yeah, it was great. Hopefully you enjoyed, Josh. I mean, I know that we spent a lot of time just, shooting the breeze. Whatever the phrase is.
We talked about Philippine folklore for like 3 hours the other night, right?
Oh, right. We did talk about Philippine folklore, and our conclusion was that every mythos is just a less cool version of another mythos, and it just depends on which mythos you were exposed to first.
Right.
We were talking about the Bakunawa, right, which is a Philippine mythological snake demon that can eat the moon, right? And then you were like, that's just less cool. Jormungandr. How do you pronounce that? Jormungandr?
Jormungandr, the Norse, the Nordic snake.
The Nordic snake, right? The Nordic giant snake that could also eat the moon, right? But then
we need to make some mythological tier lists at some point.
We should make a mythological tier list. Oh my gosh, that'll be pretty spicy. But regardless, that tier list is for another time and another day. As usual, it's been me, your host, Mark Santos, also known as Mechanic Rick, and with me has been the one, the only project manager extraordinaire himself,
Josh, or Ithri. Thanks for having me.
Josh, it was really great for having you. Hopefully you have fun. And again, thank you everyone in the chat for being awesome. And how do we sign off this one? Because we didn't have a specific topic. Don't forget to subscribe to our mailing list. And thank you, World of Level 99 Games. Thank you, and good night. Josh, say happy gaming.
Happy gaming.
Hey, bye everyone. Thanks. I'll link them in the description down below. Don't worry about it. Bye.